Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Oh, last 3 months have been a little bit tough on me, and I haven't been quite myself in a lot of these episodes. My wife passed away last January on the 22nd, and I just celebrated her birthday on the 7th and her death anniversary on the 22nd. As you can see, she's always with me right up here. Um, just thoughts and wishes out, to my wife. She's right here with me every day, giving me support. And I'd like to tell a lot of my friends that have been helping me through this, especially Shadow Fox, Diana Bishop, and a few of my other friends I've had some conversations with, and they've really, really helped me a lot. So I wanted to say thank you for everybody that's given support. My friend Carl, who sent me this beautiful blue shirt that I'm wearing today, he's been a huge, huge help in a lot of ways. I wanted to say thank you to him. And those that watch some of the different shows that I watch on YouTube, the Iron Viking, his wife, is also going through cancer, stage 4 right now. I'd like to send my best thoughts out to the Iron Viking, Sean. I hope all goes well. With that said, I wanted to say, hey, Shadow Fox, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. Hello. I'm just, I'm honored to be here. And Paul, we will continue to hold space for you and others that require it. So healing is being sent, healing and light, definitely.
Thank
Loving
you.
energy.
Yes, yes.
And
And you've been helping me a lot with my healing. I appreciate that. Thank you, Shadow Fox.
truly an honor.
But same thing for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish all well.
Yes. So honestly, I just like to welcome. We do have she has it's a call in. She is a friend of mine. She has been on our show before. Her name is Sarah Nelson, and she has some questions that regarding to what we're bringing forward for this show. Again, it is your stairway to consciousness, and so we were thinking about actually showing like a visual that can give people an idea of, what is this all about, from anyone that has, heard about it but never considered it, to those who are, right up on board and know, been there and are continuing to work with it. So honestly, I think at this point in time, um, I am just excited to be able to do this. I don't know if Lee Two Hawks would like to just make a few opening comments, and then maybe we can pull that up so we can talk about it.
Well, I think that's a good idea. There's a lot of things to consider as we all do our best to raise our consciousness, or at least have the hope of doing so. But there are certain laws and things that have to be followed in order to do that, certain exercise and disciplines that give greater insight and enable us to do so. And Shadow Fox has made a fantastic design that allow you to visually perceive, at least in that aspect of a graphic.
Right. And we recognize that not everybody's going to be able to see like the entire thing up on the YouTube channel. However, it's kind of color coded, so we'll be able to go from there. And then this way you can, kind of see that evaluation. Um, this, this graphic, the visual that we have created, is initially based upon Dr. Valerie Hunt's pioneering work within bioenergy fields. Back then, I don't even think they called it that. Um, but she had taken measurements of just someone just sitting like this, doing nothing, no actual thought process, nothing. And she had recorded what they considered was cycles per second. So what our actual energy body is functioning at just at that. Okay, or I mean, obviously they can be running around the court or something if they've got electrodes, right? And then she called upon those who were like healers, um, mediums, had psychic abilities or telepathic communications, for instance. And she recorded their energy, their cycles per second, and then continued up the line. And these are the measurements that we're going to kind of show you and give you an idea, because it does, not only does it show where we vibrate, okay, our own vibrational energy, but it's also a part of our consciousness. And I think that's important because the two of them, you just can't separate it specifically. So Paul, can you pull that visual up? There we go.
There we go.
So, again, not everybody is going to be able to see the specifics. We've got uh, triangle down at the bottom, which is yellow, and that represents a person. Okay, and that is the baseline of 250 cycles per second. That's what our bioenergy field is being recorded at. And so if we go up to the line where those green boxes are, we have a healer, a medium, and a psychic, and this is how they were registered. Know that all of those can be interchangeable. So a healer could be down on the lower end at between 400 and 800 cycles per second. So it's just to show you there's the speed of it, right? That there, so those our vibrational energy is being raised, whether we do it through meditation, singing, stepping into um, joy, what we enjoy doing. These are all different aspects for raising our vibrational energy, thus meaning we are raising the cycle per second. And so there's different bandwidths. And bandwidth right now that we're going to talk about is the one that is in the green. It's down in the lowest part. Those cycles, again, I will say, in case someone has missed it, is anywhere between 400 and 800 cycles per second. And this is where the majority of people will stop. Oh my, what does that mean? Oh my. So everybody else, for the most of the planet, is going to register between where you see the yellow, us at 250, and the very low 400. That's where most people's consciousness will rest. So I would like to open up um, to the phone. I have Sarah on the phone, and she does have a few questions. So I'd just like to say hello, Sarah.
Hello.
I hope you guys can hear her. So,
Can you hear me? Yes, yes.
okay, fantastic. So go ahead. You said you had a couple questions for us.
Okay, I went and I kind of surveyed a few of my friends across the U.S. based on the title of today's show.
Okay.
And what's that title again?
The title is Your Stairway to Consciousness.
Your Stairway. So I wanted to get the people's questions, right?
Yep.
Okay, first question comes from Nancy in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Hey, this is fun. Sounds like the radio.
Go ahead.
Can people without a spiritual gift tap in and raise their consciousness? And what would be the benefits of doing it?
Oh.
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. It's often said that people who meditate, as you realize, raise the vibration through that focused thought. You have the same aspect going on as CPOs or whatever it's called, people who control large organizations. They are focused. Therefore, they are in a constant state that we would call mild meditation. Why? Because they have to maintain a certain outlook, a certain discipline, and a certain control of self in all aspects. So the same are given the same credentials or credit for vibrational aspect at a higher level. It doesn't mean that they're the best freaking people on earth. Doesn't mean that. It just means that through their focus, they're able to bring up that vibrational aspect.
Yes, and also to continue on what Lee Two Hawks was saying, is that you, nobody has to have a belief in anything. This is what's very important, okay? And this is why we kind of created this little, like a visualization, a cheat sheet, so to speak, so that people could definitely, possibly understand what's happening in their own life. We work with energy, and this is all energy. We live in a world of energy. So, it's like you're breathing, you're living, you're eating. It's all an exchange of energy. And so when we sing, when we're doing something we enjoy, whether it be gardening, whether it be dancing, whether it be anything, that is a form of raising our vibrational energy. We, through prayer, through meditation, is another way we can raise that vibrational energy. The idea is if you've noticed with these, like this green area with the 400 to 800 cycles per second, is pretty much when she took those measurements is when people were in a meditative aspect, and say that person worked with healing energy. And so this is where she had gotten those numbers as a mean. um, Again, it's like, why would somebody choose to do so? Because it really brings a little more balance and harmony into your own life. You can feel and see discordant energy quite clearly. There's, I mean, I'd like to really move on from this, because again, is it a form of study? Yeah, it is actually. It's the study of the environment around you.
And let me just give an example of that. I wish artists was listed on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because when I used to try to be a painter, I would lose consciousness, awareness, not consciousness, awareness for hours at a time. I'd start at 1, it'd be 6 o'clock, and I didn't know how I got there. That was focus. That was a high vibrational energy.
Yes.
This is my own question, but I would assume it's a higher vibrational energy playing music, wouldn't it be?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. So, do you have any other questions?
Of course I do.
There you go.
The next one is April, all the way over in Maine, okay?
Okay.
And she wants to know, what is the first step to raise your consciousness for someone who just doesn't know where to start?
Ask.
Well, there's also the aspect of disciplining the physical form, keeping a rhythm, keeping a harmonious aspect in thinking and in action and in deed. Those are the initial steps for any of this. And that is the functioning of the physical form as we know it. And that's a starting place all people have to start from.
Seriously, Sarah, it doesn't matter under which category somebody starts looking for information. It could be information on wellness for the body. Okay. It could be coming forward and again, okay, so what are we going to eat that's going to create a more harmonious balance within our bodies? It can also be on an emotional component, like for instance, those who are working in the Stoic philosophy, that they are seeking and asking questions and trying to um, uh, gain that composure or governance over their own emotional bodies of action and reaction. Every single one of these things, we've just listed a couple of them, can raise our vibration, which means it raises our conscious awareness. If we're not aware, for instance, that we're causing harm to someone else, then we may continue to do so. But the moment we go, oh my goodness, you mean I said that and that caused harm? Oh, I'm so sorry. That was not my intent. These are things where we can bring that consciousness and create those steps to reaching that vibration or the frequencies within that 400 to 800 cycle per second bands.
Well, let me say this. Like being a psychic, being a medium, being an artist, whatever, that raises you up to 400 to 800 CPS per. Those are fleeting. They may last a week. The whole trick is, the whole concept is to maintain that in every living day.
Yes. That is where both Lee Two Hawks and my study has been. And I would just briefly like to bring you 4 minutes. Oh, go ahead. Do you have another question, Sarah?
Well, yes, and actually, we're going to get to that anyway.
Okay. Because
Just give us a minute or two with the questions because it's coming.
okay, because what I'd like to step into for the very next section, for just so we can talk about it a little bit, that when you looking towards the middle, you're going to see a black square, and that is where those who have like 800 or 900 cycles per second bands. These are, and this comes from the terminology from what Dr. Valerie Hunt had proposed. Okay, so in her research, and this is way back when, I mean, maybe she may have even changed stuff since then. She has passed. Again, you can do your own research and learn about this stuff. But she had found that those who resonate within the 8 to the 900 CPS bands, she considered them master specialists and channelers. So, for instance, a healer may like seriously go into a specific field of energy work and becomes extremely proficient and has that great awareness. And what I'd like to bring to your attention is that line going up and down. Okay, that line, this is the where we are connected to source. We are connected to our higher self. We are connected to our I am presence. This is where intuition comes from. Okay, and this is where this information or in anything, so if we're asking questions, well, why would I do this, or how can I get to that level, that line that you see going up and down, that is the actual visual connection that we're trying to show you on this page. So master channelers, uh, if you're not unfamiliar with what a channeler is, look it up, research it. This is that part of, oh my, how, this can apply to my life. Is that just for everybody else? Or is it something that I personally can do? Can I listen to my own intuition? Can I understand the difference? So that, would you like to say a little bit on the 8 or the 900
You have to
CPS?
read it to me because I can't see it.
It's just the master specialists and
okay.
channelers. It's like where the lower.
Yeah.
Okay, because the sieve. Okay.
Okay, on that sheet, you may see to the right of that vertical line of the lower mental. And that's something that if you choose to discuss it later, we can, because there are two aspects to the mind, three aspects if you include the intuitive nature, or what they call the beauty realm.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that, and it's basically using reason, using intellect, using those things are analysts every day, and using it to conduct our lives in a reasonable and analytical and virtuous manner. Of course, then we have to understand virtue.
Right. And so this does not mean that if you can think, critically or with reason or anything else, that that's where you're vibrating at. This, we're showing you the levels of when you create that focus, like Lee Two Hawks was saying, you may be at work, for instance, and have to really focus on a very specific thing, that you are actually in a meditative state, because meditation is nothing more than raising that vibrational frequency. Where can we gain or glean some of that information, which comes from our higher self or our I am presence? And you see that it's it's a upside down um, triangle, and that's like the sieve. This is where all information that we get, whether it be etherically, through prayer, it rests into our thought processes. The clearer that sieve is, the more accurate information that we can obtain. Okay, if that sieve is cloudy, it's like, your people have referred to it as, you're seeing things with rose-colored glasses on. You're only seeing it from one perspective. And so this is where we're offering information. It's a visual, because consciousness will always move forward. There's always a movement with it, but it's what we do with it. We can continue to go sideways with it and stay focused with our rose-colored glasses on, or we can clear that sieve, remove those rose-colored glasses by raising our vibrational energy, raising that conscious awareness, so our awareness vibrates at a higher cycles per second. Okay, does that make sense to you guys?
And to get a higher consciousness, you're giving, you were saying that, maybe I'm just misinterpreting, but like just consciously meditating, asking. Is asking correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think Diana is,
And focusing.
yes, and focusing, and in answering that, it really comes around to our actions, our words, our deeds, integrity, compassion, love. All of these things are a mix. So when, if someone's concerned, well, how do I do this, or why should I do it? You don't have to really do anything, really, if you choose not to. The point is that if you're looking at bringing a little bit of harmony and balance into your life, the greater or expanded consciousness that you have allows for a greater understanding, period.
Perfect.
There is what I call transcendent consciousness, and that's an understanding consciousness doesn't end at the top level. It simply doesn't. It
Right.
moves on. There is that which I wrote it last night, so I've got to read it. There is that which might be called transcendent consciousness, which is tethered to a larger, more universal reality, driving the present awareness to seek for a reconciliation of what is and what is not.
Right. And so very quickly, because I'd like to go up to where the purple squares are, because this is Valerie Hunt's interpretations of this stuff. Okay, but we have 900 plus bandwidth, CPS bandwidth, and according to her description, hers is, and I'm going to read it, okay, simply because this is hers. It is what she describes as mystical personalities, is a firm sense of cosmic interconnectedness with everything.
And that's just what I said, read.
Exactly. That's why. This is why I'm bringing this this to bear, because even, Lee Tuhawk said there is so much more even past that. So you can say, okay, well, I'm at the point now where I recognize how there's an interconnectedness with everything. Does that mean this is where I'm resonating? This is where my frequency or vibrational rate is? Ah, hold on a minute. Actually, no, it doesn't. Because when Dr. Valerie Hunt was doing this was many, many years ago. We have evolved since then, right? Many of us have been working and working to understand life, to do this, because, a person can say, well, I understand the law of attraction and I know how to manifest. So therefore, this is where my vibrational energy is. I would definitely caution against learning it under that aspect, because it would not be accurate. I would like Lee Two Hawks to come in and kind of speak on something for a minute, because now what Valerie Hunt was speaking about was the bioenergy fields. And now, as far as consciousness goes, or an esoteric or metaphysical understanding, completely sheds an entirely different light. So I would like Lee Two Hawks to briefly speak about what considered this between 400 and 800 CPS are considered aspirants. So what would the aspirants be? Because she said, psychic, mediums, healers. So,
All right. The first thing to do, as I mentioned before, is get control of the physical form. Then comes the aspirational side. And now, no, basic, sorry. That's called the probational side. That means you're trying out, am I going to make it? Do I really want to make the effort? There's this concern, that concern. I still have my mundane duties to do, or what's called dharma. I have all this stuff that's pouring at me, my bills, and they want me to do this. They want me to focus. They want me to bring love into my entire life. Okay, all right. So that's a probation of that. When decisions are made, I wish to go higher.
Higher and higher, yep.
And so basically, a probationary path is learning to wrestle with illusion, of which there are two components, Maya and glamour.
Yep.
Which is a similar lesson in relation to us. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the probationers are going to be in that bandwidth between where the green and the black is. That would be between the lower, the 400 to 800, and then the 800 to the 900. So these are where you're asking questions, you're searching, and not only that, but you're actually bringing that knowledge and wisdom and incorporating it, integrating it into your life.
All right, let's say what we're trying to do is make an alignment between physical form and its etheric form, and the next level, which is the astral, which we've talked about. The next level, she has it right there, the lower mental. Mm-hmm. Those are what's called the three bodies of the human.
Yeah.
Okay. They are not all activated at once. Some are full at different levels, higher levels, whatever. Okay. So it is again to go into a similar. Okay. Working as a probationer, we have to understand the astral body and its relation to focus, what its desires are, and the work it applies to your physical life on this plane. So that's what's critical in the probationary stage. It's finding that level of exudation of desires that you're trying to gratify or satisfy because you have an urge, you have a motivation.
So I have a question for you. So if somebody's listening to this and they see that lower mental, where there is critical thinking and very very intelligent, okay? Does that mean that's where they're resonating, or can they still be resonating below that 400 where everybody else is?
Well, to me, below that line includes everything for the lower mental.
Yes.
Includes everything you have below that.
Yep. So again, this is where, I know it may sound a little confusing, but this is just, like I said, it's a visual to understand that aspect of consciousness of raising our vibrational energy. So many people are talking, I raise my vibration, I do this, I do that. Well, where are you on it? Can you claim it? Can you say this is where I'm working from? Are you continually trying to reach to bring harmony and balance to yourself and to those around you? We influence so many people, and if we're out of whack a little bit, or we're having, concerns, situations in our life or at work, it can kind of throw us off balance. So where do we find that grounding, right? This is something, and again, Lee, I would very briefly like you to make a mention, um, because I know Sarah does have a couple of other questions, but what would be considered, because if we're looking in the esoteric aspect where we have aspirants, and aspirants are the ones we're just questioning, we're just trying to figure this out. Maybe I'll incorporate meditation or prayer or being kind to somebody.
Okay, add to that the discriminative outlook between being able to discriminate what is helpful and what is not
Yes.
in our decision making process. Also, dispassion. And people misunderstand it as, oh, I have to remove all emotional aspect to any of my thinking or doing. No, dispassion means that you don't get involved with other people's problems so they can see it more clearly than they see it and maybe give advice or counsel or something of that nature. That's what dispassion is.
So that means don't jump in their bucket?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sure you mentioned the crowd thing before.
Yeah, like, seriously, how do you keep a lobster in a bucket? Add another one. You got two people or two lobsters in a bucket. One starts to crawl out into freedom, right? And the other one draws you back in. So this is what stand outside of the bucket, and then you can help another individual. But this aspect right here, what would be like those who would be considered masters in the esoteric field?
Okay, so we're leaving out a level here, which is okay.
Oh, sorry.
And then we have the probationer, we have the aspirant, and then we have the disciple.
Yes, there
which
you
means you have dedicated yourself, your doings, your system of beliefs to an understanding of force and energy and what that means to us here on this particular planet, and what it means to us here in our other forms, the astral and mental, and then the soul, of course. So within that, there has to be that understanding. So a master would be that individual who has conquered everything down here below masterhood.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. Everything.
So the mental body, they've also moved into the higher mental, which is a whole different thing because it's more receptive of cosmic impulses, which the higher mind tries to influence the lower mind with ideas which become ideals. Then when it gets to the physical, they become corrupt.
So this is a really great point. And again, I'm going to bring it back to that purple sieve, that purple upside down triangle, because this is where we can get information, but because we don't have a greater awareness on, say, a particular subject, that it can get corrupted. It can get like, okay, well, yeah, that sounds really good, but I'm not going to give it a whole lot of thought.
Yeah, does this idea give me more power?
Yes. Yeah. And so again, when that sieve is cleared, we have removed greed. We have removed dominion from our lives, control mechanisms. We're not playing with manipulation tactics. We're not doing any of that. This is what I mean. So if you have eliminated all of that stuff from your life and you no longer partake in it, then perhaps you might take a look and say, okay, well, my vibrational energy may be resonating between maybe, 8 or 9, for instance. This is work. This is like not something that, you wake up tomorrow and go, oh yeah, I understand force and energy and I know how to apply it in my life. And it's like I've only studied it or I read about it in a book. And so therefore I'm an expert on it. And therefore I know exactly what you're talking about. No, this is actually where you take that information and you bring it forward. You apply it in your life, see how it works, and then go from there. But here's your visual. How do you call in? How do you tune in to your higher self? What is your I am presence? If you're getting information, how do you know where you're getting it from? Can you name it? Can you show it? Can you describe it? Can you feel it? Can you sense it? Can you smell it? Do you absolutely know? And so there's so many different aspects to this. And again, it's clearing that sieve from the teachings, old understandings that we have had. And this is why I've made a mention that, Dr. Valerie Hunt had done this work very, very early on. And so we're just showing you another perspective, another way to look at it, because there are many, many people who I communicate on spaces with that really have a great understanding under this esoteric awareness and conscious awareness, and we are always out there trying to help people understand and how to apply it in their lives.
Well, let me give four tools that will help you to realize moving into the nature of discipleship, which we kind of glossed over. And it's very simple. Self-control, which means alignment of the three bodies we just talked about. So that gives you the control of all bodies and creates integration, or what we call alignment. Next is self-forgetfulness, which is service. You forget yourself in order to be of aid and assistance to another. Self-reliance, because all of this is self-teaching.
Yes.
Unless you're a disciple under the leadership of a master, and he won't teach you. He'll give you a question, and you're going to have to answer that in some way or manner. The last is self-training. You have to train yourselves to do this discipline. It's not easy. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah.
But it is rewarding and it's creative. The last thing is the disciple at reaching a certain level, almost to masterhood, his consciousness is expanded to include the planetary consciousness in its entirety.
So again, this is some of the descriptive aspects that Lee Tuhawks was bringing forward for an awareness with the esoteric terminology, for instance. Again, we can bring it right back into life, right? What does that mean? Pick one of those out that you had just read.
Right here.
Where is it? Just read one.
Self-reliance, teaching yourself.
Yep.
Relying on yourself to get the information you desire and are motivated to get.
And so when you take a look at it, can we say life is difficult? Yeah, at times. And, we can also consider, pain and suffering is optional. So just think about those two things going together. Pain and suffering is optional. So if we're struggling through something, and we're feeling that, are we not choosing for that period of time to actually feel it? This is where the difference is, because if we're feeling that pain, then our vibrational energy has just lowered because we're playing in a field of a lower bandwidth. Give me 1 minute. Hey, Sarah, do you have?
Yes.
Yeah, so pipe on in.
Okay. Now for some comic relief. Wayne has a question.
Okay.
It's a two-parter.
Okay.
He says, if you can raise your vibration now, he's trying, and you can apply it, how can you get it up there? And I swear, this is what he asked me, to make contact with the spirit.
Okay, you see the top level of that vertical line? Above that is spirit.
Okay.
Okay, everything below that is either soul contact or the I am presence contact, and then beyond that is spirit.
Okay, so you see that line that blue line going straight up and down? It goes straight up and down. It works both ways. You can it starts with intuition, guys. It truly does. Trusting your intuition.
That's part 2 of his question.
Okay.
When he gets up there, how does he not revert back to his left brain and start questioning?
Because you have mastered, in order to get there, you have mastered everything below that, including self-control, disciplined thought, Only then it becomes more than consciousness, it is also awareness. And there's no way to go back.
You can't unlearn something.
You can't unlearn that.
So again, it is through, meditation. It is through prayer. It is through asking questions and research. Like I said, you can also step into a grander awareness or an understanding of our environment around us just by asking questions. So if you're seeking information, like crossing that veil, like right above where you see the green on the right hand side, the 400 800 CPS, I have a little line there and it says the veil. So this is another perception for you guys to literally take an idea, an assessment of where your vibrational energy is really functioning at. So that veil, there's so many people say, oh well, you have to, come close to where the veil is by raising your vibration, which means like a helicopter propeller. You speed it up. Spirit, for instance, has to slow theirs down so you come into a bandwidth to get the information.
There you go.
Okay, so how do you cross that barrier? Is there really a barrier? Oh my.
Well, a lot of it has to do with finding equilibrium or balance.
Yep.
So you've made a step up and you know you've made a step up. You can regress if you wish to because it's too tiring. In fact, one of the warnings for discipleship is getting too tired, too worn out by the endeavor, and at the same time working on the earth plane to do what they have to do. And so they stop doing their higher consciousness thing and go back to doing the dharmic thing. So it is possible at that level to regress. Once you get it beyond that, once you get beyond the discipleship stage, there's no going back.
So the idea is to show you the possibilities. And the possibilities is that every single one of us can attain this. Now, Christ did. So if you're looking at another way to gauge this, Christ was an absolute master of energy, plain and simple, of force.
Absolutely.
And so if you're looking at this and you're like, gee whiz, how, to be a medium or a healer or any, and remember, those are all interchangeable. Okay.
Yes.
Those are all interchangeable. I'm just, if you, for instance, are thinking that, oh, well, I can't tune in and, hear my guide, or even my higher self. How can I do that? The first initial steps is the desire to do so, is to question. Once you question, once you ask, nothing can ever be given unless you request it, unless you ask. It cannot be done. So your higher self, they can keep sending you little signals, but if you're not aware of your environment and you're thinking about something and a song comes on the radio in a car and literally gives you the answer, but if you're not paying attention to receive that information, then it falls on deaf ears, does it not?
Yes.
Okay, let me make simple statements here. I know you know some things.
Yeah.
Okay, what I have written also is consciousness can be recognized as an integral part of the etheric web, which, in varying degrees, constitutes the framework or foundation of life. Now, transcendent consciousness is inherent and expressed through all planets, all forms, in varying degrees, each bringing a specific quality as required in any given cycle. This quality moves in a small or large capacity, that field of environmental ascendancy, which we call evolution.
Yeah. So just for a second, I don't know, Paul, I see Diana's in here. I don't know if she had any questions or any comments or anything else did, because when again, we're just showing this as a visual. We're trying to give you like a couple of different ideas for somebody to, check out. We are bringing information at multiple levels. Okay. So we don't care to tank anybody out there, but this is for an individual's study in wherever capacity they would like to be. And again, you don't have to do anything. You can just, I mean, if you don't care to, spread the love, then don't do so. If you do, or you like to work with being a compassionate individual and helping your fellow man, that's also going to raise your vibrational energy.
Yes, no, we do have some questions and all that. Diane Bishop, earlier in the segment, because I put out there, if you have questions, please ask. She said, mine is to compare all actions, words, and deeds against love.
I'm confused by the word against because all those things, actions and words, should have love in them, not as an opponent, but as a fragment of self. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Next one is Cato. She just simply said, love this episode. Thank you for introducing Valerie Hunt's work.
Yes.
All right. Then Diana had another question. Maintaining a higher frequency requires focus and work, correct? And
Absolutely.
Yes.
she followed that up with, I should say, higher consciousness.
Yes. All of it. Yes.
Why don't we change that higher to developed consciousness?
Ooh.
Return to, actually it's going to return to, because at one time we had it before we took on physical form. So it's developing that consciousness that is already ours.
Yeah.
But we have not raised ourselves to a level to reach it or understand it.
And again, so here is another answer to one of Sarah's original questions. Well, why should we choose to, right?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that was dropping them today, Lee,
Hey, that was full circle right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I have a question.
Okay.
Now, let's say healer, medium, psychic. Let's say you're born with, all right, that gift that you have, but you're at 250 cycles. So you probably wouldn't be able to access that. So I guess my question would be, you said that the majority of people are at 250 cycles, could there be like lots of people out there that are like healers, mediums, psychics, and they have no idea because, they aren't that high. And let's say you're an ordinary person and you don't have that gift, but then you reach that, level. Can you be granted that gift? Would you obtain that gift? Or did you already have that gift?
Oh, actually,
Actually, the answer to that is everybody has it. It's a matter of doing it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And it again, it's creating that awareness. So it's like, oh my goodness, whether we're stepping into that healing aspect, or say, for instance, you're getting information intuitively, like to do this, don't do that. Can I do this? Can I do that? This is a very let's just say the very beginning. This would be like understanding and getting information, whether it be from our higher self, from our I am presence. And again, accessing our I am presence really requires a sense of awareness that the I am presence is already there, calling that in. So we can take a look, like, Paul, you were asking if somebody's just on this awareness. Now think about children.
That's what my next question was.
Yep. Children are always born open. What does that mean? That sieve up there is clear. All that information, that connection, that up and down line with children is on. I mean, it's like a faucet. It is wide open. And so children can access this stuff, see things, feel things, hear things that perhaps the parents may not, because they've closed everything off. They've been taught a certain way, or they have a specific belief system. And so that sieve is closed. They've closed it off. So children can be talking about something, for instance, that they see on the other side of the veil, right? There's monsters in my room. Okay. A child is trying to describe what a monster is, and we look under the bed and dismiss them and say, no, there's nothing here because we don't see them. Just because somebody doesn't see or believe in something does not mean that their existence is the existence is dependent upon a belief.
Maybe someday we can have a session on what's called the Antankarana, which is basically from the physical is built from the physical
Yep.
on up to the I am present. And it's a communication channel. So the I am present then has direct communication with you as a physical being.
Yep.
And there's a stoppage there where the higher mental and the intuitive, the buddhic
Yep.
level and the
Yep.
soul all get together.
Yep.
Because the soul is the ambassador of the monad, or
Yep.
the I am presence.
Yep.
So when you're building that Antankarana, you're creating a messenger board for direct contact.
So here's an example of someone that has, like, Edgar Casey, for instance, when he was literally gleaning information from the Akashic records, he was far past that lower mental. He stepped in where the higher mental was. So that information that he was getting carried great accuracy. From that point was where he was able to ask, we asked the question in a coherent way that would carry that lineage of information, because you can ask, questions, but if the awareness isn't there to formulate the question, the answer is going to be clouded and mucked up because our sieves are definitely filled.
Let me give the common name. It's called the Rainbow Bridge, which many more people have heard of,
Yes.
rather than Antankarana.
Yes.
But they're the same thing. It's a multicolored beam of intensity that one has to build from physical. And as you do this, as you develop these traits that are at the bottom going up, then that Antankarana grows towards creating answers for you.
Yes. So, Sarah, I know you do have, I think you have another question, but this is, like, for instance, another gauge that you guys may be able to utilize. For instance, when we tap into that intuition, and the intuition says, do this, don't do that, or you ask a question and you're getting that information. You, as that your vibrational energy rises, if this is your intent, this is really done with intent, okay, to increase that cycles per second. You will know immediately if you're asking a question. The higher the level you go up, the more clear and precise the information is, and you know exactly where it's coming from. So if I'm tuning in, or if Lee Two Hawks is tuning in, for instance, we know exactly it's coming. This is my I am presence, or this is my higher self, or these are my guides, or this is coming from the ascended masters, or this may be an angel. So this way, you absolutely, because again, take a look at that. You're looking at where they were talking. She was Valerie Hunt was talking, 800 to 900 seconds, uh, um, cycles per second, were master specialists and channelers. In order to channel, you have to have that highway, right? That up and down highway open, and the flow open, the faucets open, right? And you know exactly where it's coming from. This is the difference where we're looking at the bandwidth for where we're resonating.
And you asked me yesterday, Shadow Fox, is there a level above masters? What we call in the hierarchy masters. Yes, because I looked it up. There are what's called adepts and initiates.
Yep.
And they are 1 or 2 steps above masters.
Above, yeah. And so if you guys, I don't know if anybody can actually really see it on this visual, but right at the very, very tippity top, you see a little arrow off to the side, and it's got all these little slash marks. That's because there are so many other arenas to go into. So let me just say that, for instance, we spoke about the sieve, and what happens is when we're raising our vibrational energy, and again, this is done through intent, we're speeding we're speeding the cycles per second up. Okay, this elevates us to a higher frequency. Vibration and frequency are not the same, people. Okay, an expanded awareness will unfold at each level that we raise. In any small increments, we can always find a deeper understanding, whether it be about ourselves, whether it be about others, or whether it be about the world at large, the world around us, how energy flows, how energy works. So yes, I am speaking about the flow.
As a poor example of that, a young person desires to be a master tennis player. So when he's out on there and batting a ball back and forth, his vibration is raising just by the energetic effort of what he's doing. So he wants to become a master tennis player. And so he increases his discipline to include more time for practice, more time for focus, learning everything he can about the craft he's after, and then once reaches the top global leader in tennis, what it may be. It's the same thing, or
Right.
near the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
And so again, we're going to start getting ready to kind of wind this down a little bit, but we have given um, information. We've shown an actual visual for people who really may not understand. What is this consciousness? What does this mean? What does an expanded view? What really? Because when people are speaking about these things, they're really like an intangible, right? They're very abstract. Some people, and it can be very difficult sometimes for people to gain an understanding. And so all as we were doing is offering and showing this and speaking at many different levels of awareness. And people can say, oh my gosh, yeah, that's what that is. And you guys can step into your own research. Once you start asking questions, they're answered. They will be answered. Okay. So, Sarah,
Yes.
I'd just like to know if you have any more questions. And I'd just like to say thank you very, very much for definitely working on this, because I do know with us speaking on the phone, there were people that were feeling kind of left out because they weren't understanding. And you reached out to your community. We posed a few questions, and the questions you came back with were fantastic. And I thank you so very much for being on the show with us and bringing this forward. I thank you truly.
Yes, thank you.
I think it was a wonderful lesson for the day.
Yeah. Were there any other questions?
I have one more, but I think you kind of already covered it. But a friend of mine would like to know what will help calm a person's mind if they're nervous to raise their vibration, because what if they saw a spirit and were scared of spirits?
Basically, because there's not a greater awareness or study that was actually conducted from that person. Like, again, spirits, it's like whether they're entities, whether they're beautiful, loving, compassionate, or someone could be in an environment where they could be hostile. So just because I go, well, I don't believe in it, so it's not so, and then you have cupboard doors slamming and all this other stuff, it's like they exist whether you believe in them or not. And then how do you handle it? If you do not have a greater awareness, mistakes can be made, and it's actually permissions can be made to have them stay there. And again, permissions are made sometimes unconsciously just through fear alone. And this is what we're speaking about. When somebody steps into a line of study in this field, many things start opening up and we gain a greater perspective. The idea is to have an overall compass. This is what
Well,
our humanity moving forward in a great, I mean, like, this is our evolutionary process, and there's many of us in a specific field that is trying to bring in enlightenment and teach people and share different ways of doing things. And then there are some who have this the whole kind of ball of wax. Nobody knows all the answers specifically, but we can access them like that. So,
and we all have our little space within them too, right?
exactly. Yes.
Do you remember the connectivity? We are not just one, we are millions.
Exactly. So it's like when we're saying these things, it's not, we're saying it from a perception, because perceptions are our only limitations. And if we're only bogged down and think that we can never get beyond that veil, you can take a look at that green and go, oh my gosh, maybe it'll take me a little bit of work, but I can definitely ask questions about this field. What are ghosts? What are, but it's also going to be resonant from the information that you're getting. So once you're learning something, recognize that can just be a small foundation, and there can be a higher vibrational energy that is more conducive and more a healing aspect than what might be presented to you at a time. You can't, I'm sorry, but you cannot speak about sacred geometry or trigonometry to a kindergartner. Okay?
No.
You just, yeah. So we've got to get ready to
Yeah,
close.
just one last statement from me. I really wish more people had the ability to receive information from a higher level.
Yep.
A more developed level.
Yes.
Because what I have seen, we have a bridge here. This is a time of transition.
Mhm.
We can make a choice to stay where we're at, and it's going to take us another 1,000 years to develop to where we should be in 200. But the more we progress, the more people that come on board,
Mhm.
the greater chance we have in the develop within the next. We'll be teaching what is being taught now in kindergarten,
Oh yeah.
and then it will
This
be
will be
it will be
kindergarten.
understood.
This will be kindergarten stuff.
So is that in 200 years or 1,000 years?
Right.
It's people's choice.
So Paul, I know Diana has been opened up a
yep. I was just going to post that. Cato said, thank you for the wonderful episode. See you at the after party Journey Within on Spaces.
yes.
Gaston made a comment. It's a two-parter. First part is, if someone in the communist CPS is introduced to a truth like everyone is connected and they see and accept it as reality, yeah, this makes sense. Then align their actions, empathy, and thoughts through that lens. Slowly, they would develop their vibrational awareness. And it says a question.
Yeah.
That's absolutely accurate.
Yes. Yes. So, oh my gosh, thank you for that contribution, because yes, every minute aspect of a person gaining a greater awareness adds to the totality. And again, recognize as we're learning things, just because we learned it one way does not mean that is the way. There are many ways. And this is where we have to remain, we don't have to, but we should remain open to many different points of view, right? Because our perceptions are our only limitations. So with that, I'm going to close. Paul, thank you. If anybody, seriously, guys, come on over to the after party. We are on Twitter. Um, Journey Within. Diana Bishop is hosting this one for us. She's my partner too.
Yep.
Well, I'll diddle that and journey well all. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Paul. Sarah, thank you so very much for.
Definitely. And Diana said the room.
Such a wonderful teaching lesson today.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I love you. I'll call you later, okay?
Yes.
All right.
Have fun.
Thanks, honey.
Your spaces.
Yeah, we'll be spacing.
Thank you again, Sarah.
Okay.
And Diana said the room is filling up. So everyone, remember, be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way. Thank you.
Love and light all.